ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवम् साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगत्पते गोपेशा गोपिका कांता राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमः ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्ता स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जयो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. I welcome all the devotees for today's Bhakti Shastri class. This is Nectar of Devotion. We are starting with today, new chapter, new book. All of you please open the book that you have with you. The Nectar of Devotion. Below, Srila Prabhupada has written the complete science of Bhakti Yoga. In this book, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, the devotional service is explained in a scientific manner. Generally, we think that devotion means some sentiment, or it's some feeling, or it is a choice. But it is not so. Devotion is also a science. It can be analyzed and it can be measured, and one can check himself where he is in his practice of devotional service. So all these things are explained in this book, The Nectar of Devotion. This book is originally written by Srila Rupa Goswami, and the original name is Bhakti Rasa Amrita Sindhu, and it is translated to English as Nectar of Devotion. In English, whatever Prabhupada has translated, the main texts like the Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Prabhupada has followed a systematic way of translation. Just like he takes the small words, and for each word he gives the English meaning, and then he gives the translation, and then he gives the purport. So this is how most of the books are translated, and it makes the book very authentic, and anybody can exactly locate what is the meaning of each and every word in a shloka. But there is sometimes need for giving a summary. Just like Srimad Bhagavatam, the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam is described in the book Krishna. And this Krishna is a summary study. It has its own significance. We can read it just like a story, and we can understand all the pastimes of Lord Shri Krishna by the pure devotee. So that is the summary book. Similarly, there is one more book called Teachings of Lord Chaitanya. These Teachings of Lord Chaitanya is a summary of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, written by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. And this is also a summary book. You don't find the shlokas there, but only the summary is given. Similarly, this book, what we have in our hand now, is a summary study of the Bhakti Rasa Amrita Sindhu, which is written by Rupa Goswami. You don't find the shlokas here. It is written in paragraphs, and the essence is given. Whatever we need to know, that is described in this book. Now, what is the need for studying this book? Whenever we practice Krishna consciousness, it needs a foundation, and every person should know what he is practicing. Unless we are very strong enough in our fundamentals, our practice may go down, or somebody may confuse us, and we may get bewildered. In the earlier days, when devotees were distributing books, Srila Prabhupada books, they were getting so many questions about the practice, whatever they are doing. Why you want to chant? What will happen if you chant? How this mantra is working? And what is further? What will happen if you come to the perfection in this process? These were some of the questions which were very difficult for the devotees to answer in the beginning stage. So Prabhupada decided to write this book so that everyone will understand what is the science behind devotional service. First of all, when we say Bhakti, Srila Prabhupada has translated it as Bhakti Seve, or devotional service. Because devotion is not a sentiment. Whenever we have love for someone, we are ready to work for them, or we are ready to serve them. And when we serve them, they become happy. And by seeing them happy, we will also become happy. So this service attitude is most important in the loving relations. So that is why Srila Prabhupada has translated this bhakti as not as devotion, but as devotional service. Let us start with today's session, today's presentation. Shri Shri Radha Govind ki jai, Shri Shri Gaur Nitai ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The nectar of devotion. It's a complete science of Bhakti Yoga. That means by understanding this book, we will understand what is Bhakti completely. It is described in the form of a science. That means science means systematic study. Everything has some evidence. We don't accept anything without evidence, without any proof. So for every sentence, every statement that is given in this book has a reference, has a evidence. Today we are starting with the overview of Bhakti Rasa Amrita Sindhu. This is the lesson 1. Now there are 4 words in this book, in this title of this book. That is Bhakti Rasa Amrita Sindhu. Bhakti means devotion. Direct translation, it is devotion. And Rasa, it can be translated as mellow or juice to English. And Amrita. Amrita means eternally existing or nectar. Because if you break the word Amrita, Mrita means dead, Mrityu, death, or which is not eternal. Amrita means the one which doesn't have death, or which is eternally existing. And Amrita also has another meaning, that is nectar. Generally, we say Amrita means nectar. Sindhu means ocean. This entire book is compared to an ocean, or this devotional service is compared to a big ocean. Anandam Vardhana, as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says in the Shikshastakam. As we chant the holy name more and more, and when we come to the when we clear the Namaparadha and come to Namabhasa stage, we get a lot of transcendental pleasure, the Hladini potency of the Lord. It will be manifesting in the heart of a pure devotee. So that is compared to the ocean. It is not like the material ocean, which has limits. The transcendental ocean, it has no limits. It is compared to a Anandambuti Vardhanam. Vardhanam means always increasing. Now, if you are seeing these words one by one, Bhakti, Rasa, Amrita, Sindhu. So what is Bhakti? Bhakti means devotion. Devotion to whom? Devotion to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, to Lord Shri Krishna. Why we have to do Bhakti to the Lord? Because we all are the part and parcel of Krishna. We all have a tendency to love someone. Every person, he loves someone else. Otherwise, our life will not have any meaning. If somebody doesn't have anybody in their life to love, then they at least keep a pet dog or a pet cat and they take care of it and they show love. That means the loving and to be loved and serving others and take service. This is a natural for each and every living entity. Without this, the life has no meaning. Jivera Surupahaya Krishnera Nityadasa. Then what happens when we love someone? Our love is incomplete. Just like a person is loving only his family members. That means he doesn't have any love for the neighbors. And a person who has love for his country, that means the neighboring country is his enemies. So whenever we have a love towards the material things, it remains incomplete. But when we love Krishna, it is a complete love. The bhakti, when we show to Krishna, it becomes complete. Just like Yatha Taror Mula Nishechanena Tripyanti Tatskanda Bhujopashaka Pranopahara Shayatendriyanam Sarvaharanam Achutaitya. When we water the root of the entire tree gets nourished. When we give food to the stomach, the whole body gets nourished. Similarly, when we do devotional service to Krishna, everyone gets satisfied. Yasmin tushte jagat tushtaha. If I work for someone else will be in trouble or someone else may not like it. This we can see in this world. If I serve my country, the neighboring country may not like it. Or if I am only serving my family, then neighboring family may become envious. But Krishna, if you serve, everyone will become happy. The example we can take from Mahabharata, when Draupadi gave a small amount of food to Krishna, all the disciples of Durvasa Muni, they got satisfied. That's how, just by satisfying, just by pleasing Krishna, we can please the entire world. Whole world can be peaceful. Then what is rasa? Rasa, it's called mellow or juice. This is some enjoyment or the pleasure that we get in a relation. We have different types of relation, just like it is mainly told there are 5 rasa: Shanta, Dasya, Sakhya, Vatsalya, and Madhurya. Now, what is this Shanta rasa? Shanta rasa means we are taking service, but there is no personal exchange of love. Just like I'm sitting on this chair. This chair is serving me in a Shanta rasa. Or I just go and sit below a tree. I get nice breeze and it is very cool. So that is the Shanta rasa. Then what is Dasya rasa? Dasya rasa, the example is Hanuman. Lord Hanuman, he serves Lord Ram. Or Krishna also had so many Gopa Balakas. There are some people were in the Dasya rasa and some people were in the Sakhya rasa, that is in the friendship. And parenthood is the Vatsalya rasa, and the relation between the lover and beloved or the husband and wife, it is called Madhurya rasa. That is called rasa. Now this rasa also present in this material world, and this rasa in the material world has some defect. What are they? They are listed as two problems with the rasa, that is Bhogatyaga and Chapala Sukha. You can all open the book and check these words in the overview of. I hope you all read the first preface and introduction of the book. There you can find the meaning of this Bhogatyaga and Chapala Sukha. In the material world, when we try to enjoy the sense gratificatory objects, what happens? There is a limit. We cannot go on enjoying the things eternally. When I eat a gulab jamun, the first gulab jamun I eat gives me a lot of pleasure because that is the first one I'm eating. And when I eat the second one, my pleasure level gets down. And when I eat 5 or 6 or 10, then when I'm eating the 11th one, I don't have any taste that I had in the beginning. That means it has an end. And then what happens? That is bhoga. Then tyaga. Give up. No, I don't want any of this pleasure. This is all giving me pleasure, simply pain. So I'll give up everything. So that is tyaga. Then after some time, maybe after 2 weeks or 3 weeks, again somebody asks, do you want gulab jamun? Do you like? Yes, I like it. Why? Because I have not, now there is a gap. I've forgotten that pleasure. Again, I want. Again, if I indulge too much in the sense gratification, I'm going to say, no, I don't want enough. This is enough. So this bhogatyaga, it keeps happening in material sense gratification, which is absent in the spiritual pleasure. One can go on enjoying the spiritual pleasure without any break. That is ananda mudivardhanam. And there is one more problem with the material rasa, material pleasure, that is flickering happiness. It is not eternal. When either we lose the object of the pleasure, or the object of pleasure will go away from us. At the time of death, our body itself gets destroyed. So nobody can give any guarantee that I can go on enjoying, or the supply of enjoyment is limited. So these are the problems with the rasa in the material world, that is bhoga, tyaga and chapala sukha. Now what is amrita? Amrita is eternal nectar, which doesn't have death, which is eternally existing, and there is no loss. The person can continuously go on enjoying this amrita, which is the supply is unlimited. Next comes Sindhu. Sindhu means it's a ocean, or it's an expansive ocean. It's very deep and it is very wide. That is the ocean. Similarly, the devotional service that we can do for Krishna, there is no limit. Just like when a person loves another person, there is no limit in which way he can show the love. People can do anything for pleasing their beloved. So there is no end to it. One can go on giving the service, or one can go on making all the endeavors to please the beloved. Similarly, when we try to please Krishna, Krishna also reciprocates it. There are so many great devotees, pure devotees of the Lord. When the devotees were serving the Lord was trying to serve the devotees. The best example is Arjuna himself. Lord Krishna became the charioteer of Arjuna. That is the service Krishna is giving to Arjuna. There is no restriction or there is no force to Arjuna, to Krishna, that he has to do such activity. It is only because of love. It is only because of the affection or the friendship Krishna had for Arjuna. Otherwise, nobody is asking Krishna to do this, because Matta Parataram na anyat kinchidasti dhananjaya. So there is nothing greater than Krishna. Everything is dependent on Krishna. So it is only because of his sweet will he has done this service to Krishna. This Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu book, it is described, or this is written by Rupa Goswami, and it was instructed by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at the place called Dasha Ashwamedha Ghat near Prayag for 10 continuous days. Rupa Goswami heard this Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he compiled this book. Totally, this original book has 2,129 verses, and 2,129 verses, and most of the verses, they are not originally, everything is not written by Rupa Goswami himself. Some of the verses are from Srimad Bhagavatam, some of the verses are from Padma Purana, and some of the verses are directly compiled by Rupa Goswami himself. And this is the law book of Bhakti Yoga, complete science of Bhakti Yoga. So we can say Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu as the nectarian ocean, oceanic mellows of devotional service unto Sri Krishna. I repeat, nectarian oceanic mellows of devotional service unto Sri Krishna. So that is the meaning of Bhakti Rasa Amrita Sindhu. Anybody would like to read, they can raise their hand. Pooja Mataji.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Yes.
Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. That Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, the Sanskrit word, we have shortcut the translation nectar of devotion. Rupa Goswami's purpose is to present the ocean of Bhakti Rasa. Rasa means mellow, the juice. It is just like ocean. This ocean has limitation, but that is unlimited. The nectar of devotion, Bombay, January 10, 1972. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Vijay Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu compared Bhakti to a great ocean. When he was speaking before Rupa Goswami, he said that it is just like an ocean. So I will take a drop of it and you taste it, and you will understand what is this ocean. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu described a small portion of Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, Bhakti devotional service. There is a rasa taste, and the taste is Amrit, eternal, nectar of devotion. Vrindavan, October 28, 1972. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare. Anu Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Rasa. Every service has some attractive feature which drives the servitor progressively on and on. That force which drives the philanthropist, the householder, and the nationalist is called rasa, or a kind of mellow relationship whose taste is very sweet. Nectar of Devotion, preface, page 12 to 30. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Thank you, ma'am. So the Mandarin Rasa has two problems with it. It is Chapala Sukha. The relish or taste of the mundane rasa is not long enduring, and Bhoga Tyaga. The person will like it sometimes, sometimes he dislike it. That is Bhoga Tyaga. One cannot go on enjoying it, and it is not ever existing. Pooja Mataji.
Yes, Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Bhakti Rasa, however, the mellow relished in the transcendental loving service of the Lord does not finish with the end of life. It continues perpetually and is therefore called Amrita, that which does not die but exists eternally. Preface, page 14. 14. Yes, Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Amrita. Any action performed for the satisfaction of Krishna in this transcendental Bhakti Rasa stage of life can be relished perpetually. When one is thus engaged in devotional service, all varieties of rasas or mellows turn into eternity. Preface, page 15. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. So when we have our material pleasure-seeking tendency, when we dovetail it in the service of the Lord, it will turn into eternity. If we accept Krishna as our father, then we have an eternal father. Or when we accept Krishna as a child, then we have a child which will never lose. So he is eternally, life after life. He will, we can have that relation with the Lord. These are the 6 Goswamis. They are disciples of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. As we all know, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has not compiled any literature except Sri Shikshashtakam. He made the 6 Goswamis, especially Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, and Jiva Goswami, to write all the books. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has instructed them, and they have written all these grantha or books which are available, so that the devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead can be established scientifically and authentically. That is the contribution of these 6 Goswamis. If you see in the preface, in the beginning, the first paragraph, it will explain the background of Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami. Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, they are Gauda Saraswata Brahmins, and they were both are brothers, and they were very intelligent in their entire community, entire society. And by seeing their intelligence, by the Nawab Hussain Shah, he gave them an offer that you must come and serve the government as ministers. It was a great offer if we compare to today's date. If somebody comes to you and asks you, the king will come and tell, can you please become my minister? One is finance minister and the other one prime minister. We will embrace that opportunity immediately. But during that time, it was not the case. They were not very happy with it, because we are not going to serve the mlechas. I'm not going to work under them. But that Nawab Hussain Shah, he told, if you don't accept this, then I will destroy all the worshipable temples, and there will be a lot of trouble for you. If you accept, then you will become the controller. Everything will come under you, and you can decide what you want to do. Then, without any other option, they both accepted the service, and they were externally almost like the Muslims. They were having a long beard, and all the attires were like that. But internally, they were great devotees of the Lord. They made a Vrindavan at their home, and they were living like in the Vrindavan only, and they were chanting, and they having discussion on different subject matters of devotion. It was like entire the state is under them. They were taking care of all the affairs, and they were living a devotional life also along with it. But still, they were not happy to serve these people, and they are not giving any direct service to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They were writing letters to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu many times. We want to come and serve you, like that. Then finally, they met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at Ramkeli once, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came towards that area, and they had an opportunity to meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked them to come and serve his mission. Rupa Goswami gave the resignation immediately, because they know that if they resign both together, then it will be difficult for coming out. So Rupa Goswami resigned and came out of the service. Nawab Hussain Shah just he relieved him, and he gave a lot of gold coins and other valuables to him. It was so much that it was filled with the entire ship was filled with so much wealth. And Rupa Goswami divided it into two parts. That is 50-50 he made, and 50% he gave in the service of the Lord, and the remaining 50% he made again 50%. That is 25% he gave to relatives, and remaining 25% he kept for emergency. Srila Prabhupada says this is how a Grahastha should divide his wealth. He should use the 50% of his wealth in the worship of the Lord, and 25% he can spend for his family, and remaining 25% as a Grahastha he must keep it for any emergency purposes. This is how Chaitanya Rupa Goswami has given an example. Now, Sanatana Goswami is in the service of Nawab Hussain Shah, and he also wants to go. But when he told that I'm also resigning, the Nawab Hussain Shah was not ready to accept. Then he told, I am not well. He told, I'm not feeling well, so I'll not come to the court for some time. I need rest. Then the king told, okay, you can take rest. No problem. But what was happening at Sanatana Goswami's house? He was having Bhagavad Katha. So many devotees were coming, and they were discussing about the pastimes of the Lord continuously. He was having a very devotional atmosphere at home. Here the king is thinking, why he is not coming? What is the problem? He sent his Rajaguru to the house, and he found that Sanatana Goswami is sitting and hearing Bhagavatam. He was angry, and he told, why are you not coming to the service? You are well. Why you are telling lies? Then Sanatana Goswami says, no, I am not at all interested to serve anymore. I want to get relieved. But the king, he puts him in the jail. And then what happens? Sanatana Goswami bribes the jailer with the money which was kept by Rupa Goswami for any emergency. And then he escapes from that place, and then he joins Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So both brothers came to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's service in this way. So this is a brief history. We can read Chaitanya Charitamrita. Everything is given in detail. How Sanatana Goswami escaped from the jail, and when he reached Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that story is a lot of things are there. One can read and understand. This is a contribution. Every this Goswami, they have a story how they came and met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is the Shad Goswami Ashtaka, one of the stanza, one of the Charana. This is there in the beginning of this book. We have Shad Goswami photo. You can see we have Shad Goswami photo, and below the photo we have this Shad Goswami Ashtaka, one of the para, that is Nana Shastra Vicharanaika Nipurao Sadharma Samstapakau Lokanam Hitakarino Tribhuvane Manyau Sharanyakaro Radha Krishna Padaravinda Bhajana Nande Namattalikau Vande Rupa Sanatanau Raghuyugau Shri Jiva Gopalakau. This is the Shad Goswami Ashtaka. Anu Mataji, can you read the translation from the book?
From the book, Prabhuji?
Yes, sir.
Yes. To the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavana, I offer my respectful obeisances unto the 6 Goswamis, namely Shri Sanatan Goswami, Shri Rupa Goswami, Shri Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Shri Raghunath Dasa Goswami, Shri Jiva Goswami, and Shri Gopala Bhatta Goswami, who are very expert in scrutinizingly studying all the revealed scriptures with the aim of establishing eternal religious principles for the benefit of all human beings. Thus, they are honored all over the 3 worlds, and they are worth taking shelter of because they are absorbed in the mood of gopis and are engaged in the transcendental loving service of Radha and Krishna. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. That is about the Shad Goswamis. Puja Mataji, you can read.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes, Mataji.
6 Goswamis, they wrote so many books just to establish what is real religion. Nana Shastra, Vicharanaika, Nipunau, Sadharma, Samasthapakau. Why? Lokanam Hita Karinau. They were simply doing welfare activities for the people in general. Lokanam. Hare
Continue.
Krishna Prabhuji. Yeah.
Continue.
Yes. Formerly, the society was not so much degraded. As soon as you give evidence from the Vedic literature, they would accept. So these Goswamis were making research from the Vedic literature. Samaveda, Rigveda, and Upanishads, Vedanta Sutra, Puranas, Mahabharata, Srimad Bhagavatam. You will find in the Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu evidences Nana Shastra, Srimad Bhagavatam 2.1.2, Vrindavan, March 17, 1974. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, it gives evidences for each and every statement that Rupa Goswami makes. So whenever he says something, just for example, Bhakti and Mukti, which is greater? So one should perform devotional service or one should endeavor for liberation. For this one concept, he has dedicated one full chapter to give so many evidences that the devotion to Krishna is surpassing the mukti, the liberation. One example we can take Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Shikshashtaka. Na dhanam na janam na sundarim kavitam va jagadisha kamaye mama janmani janmanishware bhavatat bhakti rahaitu kitvai. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says mama janmani janmani. That means he is not willing to take the liberation. Mama janmani janmani bhavatat bhakti rahaitu kitvai. Never mind if I get any number of birth, but I want your devotion to your lotus feet. That is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says. Like that, there are so many evidences he gives from so many shastras. Vijay Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Srila Rupa Goswami is described as a Bhakti Rasacharya, or one who knows the essence of devotional service. His famous book, Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, is the science of devotional service. And by reading this book, one can understand the meaning of devotional service. Adi 5.203 purport.
Thank you. Adi Lila of is Chaitanya Charitamrita. Nandita Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. In the Gaura Ganodesha Deepika, what is 180, Prabhu?
It's a number, Mataji, that shloka number.
Okay. Sri Rupa Goswami is described to be the gopi named Sri Rupa Manjari. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu is the most celebrated book by Sri Rupa Goswami. Adi Lila 10.84 purport. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. This Gauda Ganodesha Deepika, it's a book in which we can understand who is who. Just like when we see so many devotees, they all have a Swarupa in the eternal spiritual world. Just like Srila Prabhupada also came here as a service to Krishna to deliver the fallen conditions. But they have their own form in the spiritual world, and this is revealed in the Gaura Ganodesha Deepika. For Rupa Goswami, he is the Lalita Rupa Manjari. So Rupa Manjari is the form or Swarupa of Rupa Goswami in the spiritual world. For Sanatana Goswami, he is called Lavanga Manjari. Raghunath Das Goswami is Rati Manjari, and Raghunath Bhatta Goswami is Rasa Manjari. Gopal Bhatta Goswami is Guna Manjari. Lokanath Goswami Manjalali Manjari, and Jiva Goswami Vilasa Manjari. Krishnas Kaviraj Goswami, the author of Chaitanya Charitamrita, is Kasturi Manjari. Like this, there are 8 Manjaris named, but there are many servants to Krishna. Similarly, there are Ashtasakhi. There are many more Manjaris. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is Kamala Manjari, Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj is Rasika Manjari. And Ashtasakhi, the 8 chief servants of Radharani, they are also came as the servants of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Swarup Damodar, he is the Lalitam Sakhi, and Ramananda Raya, he is the Vishaka Sakhi, and Shivananda Sena is Champakalata, and Govindananda is Chitra, Vakreshwar Pandit is Tunga Vidya, Vasuramananda is Indulekha, Govindananda Ghosh is Rangadevi, and Vasudeva Ghosh is Sudevi. Like this, there are many devotees. We can find their names in Chaitanya Charitamrita and we can understand their pastimes. And they have the Swarupa in the spiritual world. So these are all these things are given in Gaura Ganodesha Deepika. And here Rupa Goswami is Rupa Manjari. This is a pranam mantra for Chaitanya Rupa Goswami that we chant every day in the beginning of Mangalacharan. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Supadati. Shri Rupa Goswami Prabhupada, who has established within this material world the mission to fulfill the desire of Lord Chaitanya. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Manobhishtam, the desire. He Sthapitam Yena Bhutale. He is fulfilling it. The mission is being fulfilled by Rupa Goswami. Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam. When will he give me shelter under his lotus feet? So that is the way how we have to take the blessings of a great Acharya, Rupa Goswami. Now here is a group exercise. Identify reasons for Prabhupada's writing the Nectar of Devotion. Why he has written this Nectar of Devotion book, and discuss how these reasons are relevant for you individually and society at large. So, find one representative from your group for giving the discussion, presenting the discussion. We'll make 2 groups. First group will be reading from page number 14 and 15, and next second group will be 16 and 17 page number. It's a Roman number that is in the preface. Hope everyone have come with the homework. So we'll have 5 minutes for discussion and 2 minutes for presentation after the discussion. Anybody has any questions regarding the exercise? Okay, then let us start with the 2 groups. We have 5 minutes time. Hare Krishna, I welcome back to the session. Mataji, you can start.
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna. I was in the 14 and 15 pages, group 1. I will do the Amrita part and Puja Mata will do the Rasa part.
Okay.
Amrita means ambrosial, Amrit, which in my language means ambrosial, permanent, and which does not die. It is eternal. Like we say prasad, when offered food becomes prasad, it is Amrit. The taste changes. So Prabhupada here says that Bhakti is Amrita, it is ambrosial, it gives a taste and it does not die but exists eternally. And this rasa any kind of rasa derived from any kind of philanthropy, nationalism, socialism. It is not that the same family will be given to us or we will be in India or US or wherever, or gender or whatever education we have, but this bhakti rasa which we have, it will be permanent and it will not die with us when we give up our body, and therefore all bona fide activities in Krishna consciousness are amrita or permanent. Prabhupada says this is subject matter of nectar of devotion, and it will guarantee that we have a human body in our next life. And even if we are unable to complete fully our devotional service, at least we will have a good species of life, human species, so that we can advance. Rasa portion, Puja Mataji will do, Prabhuji.
Yeah, thank you, Mataji. Puja Mataji.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Here it says that the nectar of devotion will gradually elevate the the devotee from material status to the spiritual status, and it will be a gradual process, and where the nectar of devotion will make it uncontaminated completely, and the person will be completely in a devotional service of Lord when he gets to any action performed for the satisfaction of Krishna in the transcendental bhakti rasa stage of life can be relished perpetually. And this is how it is a gradual process, and this has to be done under the supervision of Acharya, that is the best spiritual master. And this is how one can elevate to that particular spiritual status. And this is basically rasa is the mellow, and which turns into eternity. In the beginning, one is trained according to the principles of regulation and under the guidance of Acharya or spiritual masters, and then it becomes automatic, and one gets elevated to the devotional service, which becomes automatic and spontaneous eagerness to serve Krishna. And this is how the mellows and rasas are explained. And there are 5 different rasas, as you explained, Prabhuji. Bhakti, it is Sakhya rasa, Dasya rasa, Vatsalya rasa, Shanta rasa, and Madhurya rasa. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare. Vijay Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, I was a participant of the group 2, where we were supposed to explain 16 and 17 page number. So, Prabhuji, here the nectar, here Prabhupada is saying that the nectar of devotion is basically here to switch on the switch, which will immediately brighten everything. So, the best example that he gave here is of the American person, where we have all type of comforts, but still many of us are frustrated and confused. So he's saying that the main reason for this confusion is that our propensity to love. So that is not being satisfied. So Prabhupada here says that if we are missing, if we are not knowing Krishna, if we are not loving Krishna, then you are missing your oneself. So it's just like we are watering the tree, but we are not watering the roots. And here one more example is given that whenever we see ourselves in the mirror, then we see ourselves. That means we are seeing the sunshine. Without seeing the sunshine, no one can see ourselves. So if we don't know Krishna, then we don't know ourselves. And at the end, Prabhupada is saying that this nectar of devotion is for the person who has just entered the Krishna consciousness, before thanking all the contributors. Hare
Pardon,
Krishna.
last sentence, what you wrote?
Yes, Miss, before ending, Prabhupada has thanked all the contributors who helped him. Hare
Yeah,
Krishna.
yeah. Thank you, bro. Correct. Actually, it is. The beginning itself has told the name of Jayanand Brahmachari.
Yes.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he's a very good Ratha Yatra performer during those times. So, I liked him very much. Thank you, bro.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Akila Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare.
So what is there in the text? Same thing we have to tell till we can answer it.
Whatever you understand.
See, the reason why, like, because it reduces the crime rate in the society, no? It remains and reduces the crime rate. And like through nectar of devotion and the fate can be altered, not completely altered, and it is somewhat like modified. The fate can be modified. And I feel, Guruji, like this nectar of devotion, it is very particularly required for the people who follows the ethical path. Ethical means we come across the word called whistleblowers. Whistleblowers in the sense, those are the people who expose like illegal, unethical activities to the society, which was taking place inside the organization. They make it public. For them, no, usually their life will be very threat. When they like come to Krishna consciousness, when they adopt bhakti, I think either directly or indirectly, the Krishna will save them. So the people like such people who do more social service without bothering about their life, which is good for the society. For them, I feel this Bhakti Rasamrita Singh is very much important for such. Hare Krishna.
This is one of the social effect of studying the Shastra. Especially this Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, it is meant to learn how to love Krishna. That is the core purpose, the real purpose of this. And it has so many byproducts. When we love Krishna, when we water the root, entire tree gets nourished. Thank you. Hare. Anybody else would like to add? Okay, let us continue our discussion. Let us hear from Srila Prabhupada what he says. Those who like to read, they can raise their hand. Puja Mataji.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Purpose of the nectar of devotion. We have faith to create peace and harmony in human society, even by such great attempts as the United Nations, because we do not know the right method. The method is very simple, but one has to understand it with a cool head. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Vijay Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. The nectar of devotion teaches all men how to perform this. If we learn how to love Krishna, then it is very easy to immediately and simultaneously love every living being. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hanumataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Purpose of the nectar of devotion. I am appealing herewith to such confused men to learn the art of devotional service as the direction in the nectar of devotion. And I'm sure that the fire of material existence burning within their hearts will be immediately extinguished. Preface, page 16. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mother. Now, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, here Sindhu means the ocean, as we have already talked. Now, this ocean, it has to be divided, or when we are trying to understand any subject matter, it has to be studied systematically. So from where we have to start, that we have to decide. For that purpose, the ocean is divided into 4 parts, and that is eastern side, southern side, western side, and northern side. And we are starting with the eastern side of the ocean, and from there we are studying or beginning to understand what is Bhakti. And this Bhakti Shastri course only covers the eastern side. We are not going to cover southern side, western, and northern side. It is left to you. You can read it yourself. But it requires more advanced understanding and more sadhana to understand these subject matters. So for the beginners, the first 19 chapters of this book, if you see the content of this book, the first 19 chapters are grouped together. It is part 1, and from 20 to 34 second part, 35 to 44 is the third part. Similarly, fourth part is 45 to last, that is 51. Now our syllabus is only the first 19 chapters. We are not going to cover later parts, later chapters. So originally this book is divided into 4 parts, that is east, south, west, and north. Why this is told in this way, east, then south, then west, then north? It is going clockwise. East, south, west, and north. And the book is also being written in the same manner. Part 1 is east, part 2 is south, part 3 is west, part 4 is north. And it also has its own name that we can see now. So this is the beginning. We start with Purva Vibhaga, Bhagavad Bhakti Bheda. That is the first 19 chapters. Then Dakshina Vibhaga, it is called Samanya Bhagavad Bhakti Rasa, 20 to 34. Then comes Paschima Vibhaga, Mukhya Bhakti Rasa, that is 35 to 44. And then Uttara Vibhaga, Gauna Bhakti Rasa, that is 45 to 51. Puja Mataji, thank you.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes.
Overview of Purva Vibhaga. In the first part, there are 4 waves. The first being a general description of devotional service. The second concerns the regulatory principles in ecstasy. In this fourth ultimate goal, love of God. Should I continue?
Yeah, others.
Okay. Love of God. Hare Krishna. Introduction, page 20. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So now we are continuing to start with the Purva Vibhaga. Now how to divide this further? Entire ocean is divided into 4 parts. Now again, these parts are divided into waves, because the ocean has so many waves. Waves are coming. So each chapter, it is like poetically, Rupa Goswami is presenting his book. In the beginning, he is dividing the ocean, and again within the one part, that is the Vibhaga, is giving the name as waves for each chapter which is present from 1 to 19. And what are these waves? There are 4 waves in this Purva Vibhaga. The Purva Vibhaga is called Bhagavad Bhakti Veda, varieties of devotional service. And the devotional service is called Samanya Bhakti, that is the devotional service which is done generally, general people, they do the devotional service. And Sadhana Bhakti, once a person becomes serious in performing devotional service, he will understand what is to be done, what is not to be done, what are the regulatory principles, what is chanting, all these things person will understand. So that is called Sadhana Bhakti. And in Sadhana Bhakti, there are again 2 parts, Vaidhi Sadhana and Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti. And then comes the Bhava Bhakti, finally comes Prema Bhakti. These 19 chapters are divided accordingly. If you see the Samanya Bhakti, it is first 2, that is introduction to first chapter. And Sadhana Bhakti, it covers the maximum portion of this Bhagavad Bhakti Veda, 2nd chapter to 16th chapter. So most of the time here we are spending for explaining what is Sadhana Bhakti, which we are performing at present. At present, whatever Srila Prabhupada has given us, this is called Sadhana Bhakti. And among this Sadhana Bhakti also, there are 2 parts. One is Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti and other one is Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti. Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti means rules and regulations. I am performing Bhakti because somebody has told me to do so. I am not doing it out of love or out of my own endeavor. I don't like it. Just like in the beginning, anything that is coming in the Sattva Guna, it looks like a bitter medicine. And as we go on practicing, finally it gives the nectarian result. Similarly, when we start Bhakti, it is very difficult to follow regulatory principles, get up early in the morning, chanting 16 rounds, finish it in the morning itself, don't eat that, don't eat this. So many do's and don'ts. So very difficult. Then it's Vaidhi, it's Vidhi. You have to follow. Because I am diseased, first of all, I should understand that I am diseased. Then I should get admitted. Then I should take the medicine. Chanting of the holy name, for the neophytes, it acts like a medicine. And as a person advances, for him, it acts like a nectar. The example is given as the jaundice. When a person gets jaundice, everything looks yellowish. And the tongue, it tastes only bitter. Anything you eat, it looks bitter. If you drink a glass of sugarcane juice, it is so bitter that a jaundice person, he cannot drink even a single little also he cannot drink. It looks very bitter. But for a healthy person, he can drink 2-3 glasses. He will enjoy it. So that is how the bhakti will begin. So that is sadhana bhakti. In that Vaidhi sadhana bhakti, it is explained from chapter number 2 to 14. So again, in the sadhana bhakti also, maximum portion importance is given for Vaidhi sadhana bhakti. Almost 12 chapters out of 19 is dedicated for explaining what is Vaidhi sadhana bhakti. And what is Raganuga? Raganuga is spontaneous sadhana bhakti. It is also coming under sadhana, practice only. But this is after crossing the anartha nivritti. We have 9 stages of bhakti: Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana Kriya, Anartha Nivritti, Ruchi, Nishtha, Ruchi, Asakti, Bhava, and Prema. These are the 9 different stages. Our bhakti begins with the Shraddha, that is little faith because of somebody's mercy. Somebody gave some prasadam, or somebody called me forcefully to the temple, or some reason, somehow I came into Krishna consciousness, somebody's mercy. So that is Shraddha. Then Sadhu Sangha, we come in touch with the devotees. And Bhajana Kriya, we start doing the kirtans, japa, readings, all these things, Bhajana Kriya. So up to these three it will go easily because Shraddha comes out of mercy of the devotees. And when we come in touch with the devotees, Bhajana Kriya will also happen. But the most difficult part is Anartha Nivritti. We have so many bad elements within us, so many bad things, Anartha, unwanted things. It has to be cleared. Once that is cleared, then person comes to Nishtha state. Nishtha means firmly fixed in devotional service. At that state, the person will enter the Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti. We will go in detail later once again. I'm just briefly explaining. Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti. And that is spontaneous. There is no force. One who is doing it out of his own willingness. Then comes Bhava Bhakti. That is, after crossing this Anartha Nivritti, one will be in Nishtha, Ruchi, then Asakti. These things come under Raganuga Sadhana. Then comes Bhava Bhakti, which is the 8th stage, just before the Krishna Prema. Then 9th one is Prema Bhakti. Prema Bhakti is listed separately. That is in the 19th chapter. As every book has Mangalacharan, this book also has Mangalacharan. And Mangalacharan, it has many parts in it. There are 4 parts in the Mangalacharan of this book. See, Mangalacharan means auspicious invocation or invoking auspiciousness. Just like when we start the class, we do the Mangalacharan. We are paying obeisances to all the to the Lord and to all the devotees. Similarly, this book also has Mangalacharan. Lord Shri Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the cause of all causes, the reservoir of all rasas or relationships. That is the Akila Rasamrita Murti. Krishna is the Akila Rasamrita Murti. Now, in Sanskrit, this Mangalacharan is divided into 4 parts, and in Sanskrit it is called Vastu Nirdeshta, Namaskara, Ashirvada, and Grantha Vibhaga. You don't find these Sanskrit words in the book. What is this Vastu Nirdeshta? Nirdesha. Vastu Nirdesha means objective of the book. Why I am writing this book? Rupa Goswami is writing the objective. Just like when we write a thesis, first you have to write what are the objective of your work. Then you have to go for the next coming parts. Finally, you have to give the conclusion. Similarly, Rupa Goswami is telling what is the objective of book, that is Vastu Nirdeshta, that is Akhila Rasamrita Murti, to understand the Lord Shri Krishna, how to serve him, Vrindavana Krishna. Now, what are the different ways we can understand? So we can enjoy Krishna's loving service in so many ways, not only by embrace of the gopis, but in the fight of Bhishma with Krishna and piercing his body with arrows. Therefore, Krishna is Akhila Rasamrita. There are 12 rasas, either primary rasa or secondary rasa. Any rasa, Krishna is ready to respond to any rasa you want to deal with Krishna. That is Krishna's position. Now, what are these primary rasa and secondary rasa? Primary rasa is always present. Secondary rasa, it will be present sometimes only. That is, it will overlap other rasas. It's like Sakhya rasa. Arjuna and Krishna are in Sakhya rasa. But when Krishna showed the Vishwarupa, then it turned into the Adbhuta rasa, wonder. Arjuna was seeing everything wonderful. Or when we see Gopas, they are in the Vrindavan. When they are playing with Krishna, they are in Sakhya rasa. Sakhya rasa is the primary rasa. But when any demon comes to attack Krishna, or when Krishna jumps into the river, Kaliya, into the Yamuna river to chastise Kaliya, then the devotees are in fearful. That is Bhaya or Bhayanaka rasa, horror. That overlaps the primary. Secondary will overlap the primary. So primarily there are 5 rasa, and remaining 7 are secondary rasa. That's how it is divided into primary and secondary. Otherwise, we could have told 12 rasas together. But 12 rasa, this bhayanak rasa will not remain always. Nobody is fearful all the time. For some time, we'll become fearful for that situation. Then we'll come back to the normal state. That is the primary rasa. So other than this primary rasa, we have Raudra rasa, which is anger, and Adbhuta rasa, which is wonder, and Hasya rasa, comedy, Veera rasa, chivalry, when Krishna was fighting with Bhishmacharya, and Daya, that is mercy, Bhayanaka, horror, Bhibhatsa, shocking. So these are the secondary rasas, which will cover the primary rasa sometimes. All these things are explained. That is the Vastu Nirdesha, how to understand Krishna, this rasa. And then we have Namaskara, that is paying obeisances. Obeisances to whom? Obeisances to Lord Shri Krishna and the Guru. Who is the Guru of Rupa Goswami? Rupa Goswami, he was instructed by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is none other than Krishna himself. And Guru of Rupa Goswami is Sanatana Goswami, who is his elder brother. So Rupa Goswami pays obeisances to Sanatana Goswami and to all the devotees who are reading this book. And all the devotees who are there, everyone, all the devotees of the Lord Shri Krishna, he is paying his obeisances. And Ashirvada, benediction to the readers. Whoever reading this book, the Rupa Goswami is giving his Ashirvada. So by reading this Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, we all are getting the Ashirvada of Rupa Goswami. And we all are Rupa Anugas. We are following in the footsteps of Rupa Goswami. And Grantha Vibhaga, that is division of this book, how this book is divided. All these things are explained in the Mangalacharana. So with this, we have come to the end of this chapter. This lesson, whatever we have learned now, that is preface, explain the terms, what is Bhakti Rasa Amrita Sindhu, and our experience of relation eternal rasa in Krishna consciousness, significance of Rupa Goswami, and identified Prabhupada's purpose in writing the Nectar of Devotion and discuss their relevance. And in the introduction, the objective of the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu with reference to Vrindavan Krishna and Akila Samrita Murti, and overview of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, that is Grantha Vibhaga. And in that, again, what is Purva Vibhaga? What are the different types of waves are present? All these things are we have seen today. Anybody would like to read? You can raise your hand. Vijay Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Guruji.
Hare.
Our philosophy is not to mix up with the water superficially, but enter into the water and live there like fish, big fish. But if you remain superficially on the water, then you will be evaporated again and again through outside. Come as river, your coming and going, repetition of birth and death will not stop. One should become a big fish. There is no evaporation. So don't be misled by the Mayavada philosophy that you fall into the water. These things are explained in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu by Rupa Goswami. Departure Lecture, London, March 12, 1975. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. So this is here Prabhupada is speaking about the Mayavadi philosophers who say that just like water, the river water mixes with the ocean water and there is no separation again. It's all mixed together. Similarly, we also become one with the Lord after liberation and there is no difference between me and God. It is nothing but Mayavada philosophy. But Prabhupada is telling the water, the ocean, it has many fishes. So we are not the water of the ocean, but we are like the fish. And these fishes, they are very big fish. If it is big fish, then it will be deep under the sea. Nobody can catch them. And there is no question of coming back to the rivers once again. They are always they always stay in the ocean itself. Similarly, when we go back to Godhead, there is no coming back. Yadgatva na nivartante Tadhama Paramam Mama. One should try to go back to Godhead. One should not try to merge with the Brahma Jyoti. Because from Brahma Jyoti, there is always chance for fall down. The example, same example is given. When the water is at the top level, top surface of the ocean, what happens? This water is getting evaporated by the sun and it becomes a cloud, and again it will be thrown to the river. So it becomes river, and again it has to come all the way back to the ocean. Similarly, this birth and death. We take birth, we live our life and die, again take birth, again die. Punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, punarapi janani jatadeshaya. Like that, we have to keep taking birth, keep dying. That is because we are doing only superficially. But if we are really serious in Krishna consciousness, we can go back to Godhead so that we don't have to go under the trouble of birth, death, old age, and disease. One should become a big fish. In that sense, Prabhupada is explaining here. So with this, we have come to the conclusion of this chapter. I thank all the devotees. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. If anybody has any questions, they can raise their hand and ask. Nandita Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. In the preface, Prabhu, in the last paragraph, it says nectar of devotion is specifically presented for persons who are now engaged in the Krishna consciousness movement. And we are also studying only the east part of the book. And also in the stages, we probably have finished Shraddhas. We have probably come somewhere in Shraddha, Sadhusanga, and Bhajana Kriya. So are these all related? Because are we supposed to be in a particular stage to read part 2, the other directions?
Yes, Mataji. Second part, one is not supposed to read. Not supposed to in the sense, Prabhupada books anybody can read, but if you want to read it with permission, we need to take the permission of our Shiksha Guru, so that we'll have proper understanding. Otherwise, it will create it may create wrong understanding. It is not recommended for the neophytes to read the second part onwards. And one more point I forgot to explain. This is very important point here. The second paragraph of preface there, Lord Chaitanya's principle is universal. This universal principle of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we should understand. What is it? Anyone who knows the science of Krishna and is engaged in the service of the Lord is accepted as being in a higher position than a person born in a family of Brahmana. This Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has shown in his dealings with the devotees. When Haridas Thakur, he was a great devotee. He was chanting the holy name 3 lakh times every day. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted him as Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur, irrespective of what is his birth. So anybody who is taking to Krishna consciousness, engaging himself in the service of the Lord, they will be considered as at a higher position than a birth Brahmana. Srila Prabhupada also considered in the same manner. The Western people who are living a life of mlechas, but when they took this devotional service seriously, Srila Prabhupada gave them initiation, and he has considered them as Vaishnavas. So the birth is not important. The seriousness of a person in understanding the science of Krishna consciousness and practicing it properly matters. That is the even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also followed the same principle. That is the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's universal principle. This is one of the questions which may be asked in the exam. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Guruji.
Hare.
Guruji, this is I'm asking out of curiosity. This
Yeah.
Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami, before meeting Chaitanya, had they converted to Muslim because name has completely changed, appearance
Yes,
is changed. That's why.
Yeah. Actually, this name was given as a title. To be named as Dabir Kas and Sakhar Malik, it was a great honor for this Nawab Hussain Shah. He gave this name for as a honor, but for them it was like a punishment. Correct.
Correct.
Nandita Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I'm sorry, I forgot to ask. You said in Chaitanya Charitamrita we can read the details about how Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami and all, how they evolved into what they were. Is it an Adi Leela, Prabhu, or where exactly is
I'll
it?
look at exact and tell you.
Thank you,
I'll
Prabhu.
tell you
Hare
the chapter.
Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare. Any other questions? Okay, if we have no questions, then we'll stop for today. This Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu is a wonderful book. It is like a nectar. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu will tell us how to perform bhakti. Each and every details are explained in this. How to do the deity worship. What is to be done, what is not to be done. What is correct, what is wrong. How to chant properly. What happens different at the different stages of chanting. All these things are explained. And how to improve our chanting. Everything, A to Z of practicing Krishna consciousness is explained in this Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. It's a manual for bhakti, those who are practicing bhakti yoga. So I request all of you to seriously read this book and take advantage. As Bhagavad Gita says, to surrender. Krishna is telling us to surrender. Now, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, it is telling us how to practice devotion to Krishna. How to surrender. That means after surrender, how to practice this bhakti. That is explained in this Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. And this is a Goswami book. It is given especially for Gaudiya Vaishnavas. Anu Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I have a very controversial question. Why is it so important in Nectar of Devotion and Sanatan Dharma to worship Murti Puja? Kyun zaruri hai? Why is it important?
Yeah.
Like Muslims also, they say Allah hai. Allah, Prophet is the Paigambar. Allah hai. They acknowledge the fact that Allah is there. And I am from Punjabi background, so Japji Sahib says, "Tu sada salamat rahe nirankar." Matlab, God, you always be well. Matlab, may you always have good health. May you always be well. But you are formless for me. So it is not that they are saying God has no form. It is just they are accepting. They are saying like Japji Sahib said, "Tu sada salamat rahe nirakar." But Sanatan Dharma, like I'm a Hindu, not a Sikh, but it says it is Murti Puja.
Yeah.
It is a very expensive process to everybody to bring a Murti home, decorate it, do so many things. It is not that those people are rejecting form of God. It is a ritual. As a ritual, they are not going in for it.
Why do we have?
How do you defend
Okay.
Murti Puja?
Okay, ma'am. Let me talk. Why do we have children at home? Why to take the trouble to take care of children?
I don't know.
Why do we have children at home? Why do we take care of them? It's a burden, no?
No,
To
we
take care of them.
Who's a family member, no?
You have to do so much for them, and finally they make their life and go away. Why do we take care of the children?
I don't know.
No, this question you must be knowing answer. Because we want to have some reciprocation, we have the loving propensity. That's why people have children and they take care of children. And the relation between child and mother, it is almost equal to the devotion to the Lord. Because mother serves the child without any expectation. That is the best example we can give when a devotee and Lord relationship is there. Now, when your question is why Murti Puja, this will be again described in this book in detail. what are the different ways we can have the Vigraha, and what are the different types of Vigraha. All these things are explained. But in brief, I'll tell you, the Lord is not Nirakara, or he is not formless, but formlessness is a property of the Lord. But in the actual sense, the Lord has a form, but his form is not like us. This is explained in detail in Ishopanishad also, where it says Akaya. Akayam means Lord doesn't have body. And then he says Ashnaviram. Ashnaviram means he doesn't have veins. That means he doesn't have blood veins. What is the need of saying body is not there? Again, there is saying blood veins is not there. Just like if I say I don't have a car, I don't have to say again I don't have a steering, because it is understood. But Ishopanishad is telling Lord doesn't have body and he doesn't have blood veins also. So there is something to understand. When it says Lord doesn't have body, it means Lord doesn't have body like us. What is our body? Our body is made of 5 elements, which has blood, bone, skin, all these things. But for the Lord, it is his body is Satchidananda Vigraha. Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchit Ananda Vigraha. Vigraha means form. Anadiradir Govinda Sarvakarana Karanam. This is told by Brahma. The creator himself has told this. And in the same Brahma Samhita, it is told Anganiyasya sakalendri yavritti manti pashyanti panti kalayanti chiram jaganti ananda chinmaya sadujjvala vigrahasya govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. So what it says, Angani yasya sakalendriya vritti manti. So what is speciality about my body and Krishna's body? I also have the limbs, Anga. Krishna also has the Anga. My Anga has limitation. I can see through the eyes. I can smell through the nose. I can hear from the ear. I can speak to the tongue, through the tongue. But for the Lord, it is everything is possible through all the Angas. The Lord, just by glancing over the bhoga that you offer, he can turn it into prasadam. But it is not possible for us. I cannot taste the sambar through my eyes. If you put one drop, then one has to cry. So that is not possible for us. But for the Lord, it is possible. Sa aikshataha, sa asrajataha. Just by glancing over the material nature, he can impregnate the entire creation. That is the power of Krishna. When we say the Lord doesn't have form, we are limiting him. The creator can never be less than the creation. The creator can never be less than the creation. If I create something, it's like somebody has made this mobile. This mobile has certain features, but no mobile is more important than a human being. If there is need, I can throw this mobile away. I will not be punished. But if I throw a person, or if I kill some person, I'll be punished. Because the person is always more than the object. The creation of the Lord has a form. Similarly, the Lord is also has a form. But the form is different because he is having more facility. Because he is the creator himself. When there was nothing, it was Krishna who was present. When everything is there, it is Krishna who is maintaining. And when everything gets annihilated, he is the one who remains. So, the one more thing is why Vigraha we are using. Vigraha is a incarnation of the Lord. Why can't we have Vigraha? When we say why to have the Vigraha, we can also say why can't we have the Vigraha? When the Lord is omnipotent, omniscient, omnipresent, why can't he be in the Vigraha? We say Lord is everywhere. Then why not in the temple? Why not in the deity form? He is present in deity form also. But the problem is we cannot see the Lord everywhere. It is told having something is not wealth. The knowledge of the existence is the wealth. In Kannada, it is told, Iravu sampattalla, iravina arivu sampattu. That means having something is not your wealth, but knowledge of having something is your real wealth. Just like you have lot of wealth your grandparents have made for you, but they are not told that it is there. They have buried under your house. But for you, now you don't have money, so you have to take loan. Why? Because you are not having knowledge about it. But when you have the knowledge, you can make use of it. Similarly, Lord is present in our heart. Lord is present everywhere, but I am not able to see him. But when I go to temple, there is a form which is decorated, which is worshipped. Everyone is paying obeisances. So the atmosphere is created so that I can see him. It is not because the Lord needs Vigraha to show himself. It is we who are limited to see him everywhere. That's why he comes in the form of a Vigraha. And Vigraha also, there are different ways of seeing at the Vigraha. A person who looks at it as a stone, he will be a stone only. For a person who looks at it as a representative of the God, he will become a representative of the Lord. But one who sees the Lord himself in the Vigraha, there is no difference between Vigraha and the Lord. Hope this much is enough for today. We will describe this. These all topics are covered in this next coming chapters. Thank you, Professor. Hare. Vijay
Hare
Prabhu.
Prabhuji.
Yes,
Prabhuji, can you please explain, we are visiting various dhams. So what all activities we should do at dham and what all activities we should avoid so that our bhakti we can progress in bhakti?
Dham, whatever we practice, it gives multiple benefits. We can chant in the dham, we can read in the dham. People have different purposes. They make plan before going to the dham itself. But whenever a person goes to dham for the first time, there is a lot of desire to visit all the places. I want to see every place of the Lord, whatever the pastimes, whatever the stories are there. I want to cover everything. So with that, we keep running here and there and we get tired more. But best thing is go to any one place and sit there, chant nicely, take the association of devotees. It is most important. Just like in dham also there are many birds, beasts, all are there. But we also should not go like them and come back. We should take the association of the devotees who are present and take their blessings. Best thing is we should practice Krishna consciousness, chant more, read more, hear the katha of the Lord, do sankirtan. It will give multiple benefits. And what should not be done? We should not break four regulative principles. We should not disobey the authority. And whatever, being a devotee, one should act there. One should not perform any unnecessary aparadas.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Nandita Mataji.
Prabhuji, I just remembered and wanted to ask you when you said read, chant, and this 31st is Pandav Nirjal Ekadashi. So, other than what we normally do on an Ekadashi, what should we be doing, Prabhu? Like chanting, I mean, of course, the fasting, the chanting. Is it only chanting is better, or should we be reading, or what should we be doing, Prabhu?
Yeah, only chanting may not be recommended because we are not so pure to keep chanting. People say, I don't have time for chanting. But actually, they have no taste for chanting. That's why they don't have time for chanting. Because people watch movies for 3 hours. For that, they have time. Because once they start watching, that movie will take care to keep them on for 3 hours. But that is not true for chanting because we don't have taste for it. So reading is, we have to make both together. chanting and reading together should be done. And also, if possible, we should do service in the temple, if possible. If the temple is nearby, we have to visit the temple and do some service, whatever possible.
Yes, Prabhu.
Chanting,
I
reading,
also-
service.
I also thought maybe we can't chant all day, not because of we have I have a very distracted mind, can't sit for so many. And the Nirjal may make us thirsty, Prabhu. So our chanting may not be of my chanting may not be of any quality. Hare
Yeah,
Krishna.
here, Upavasa or the Ekadashi, the real meaning is coming near to the Lord. Upavasa does not mean at all that you are not eating. Upavasa means being near to Krishna. And why we have understood it as fasting is fasting will help us. When the stomach is empty, our brain starts active. Brain remains active. It will start thinking. So that's why we don't eat. But not eating itself is not the purpose of doing Ekadashi. So there is no need to do Nirjal if you are not able to chant or read, because chanting and reading is the one which takes us back to Godhead. It is not by not doing something we go back to Godhead. It is by doing the things we go back to Godhead. Thank you. Hare Krishna. I thank all the devotees for coming to today's session. We'll continue in the next session. We'll see the 6 characteristics of devotional service. That is chapter 1. वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय. नमः. सरस्वती हरिदास ठाकुर की जय. Thank you. Hare Krishna.